And welcome, everyone, to a chat here on March Madness. I'm Andy Katz, pleased to be joined by the McDermotts, Greg McDermott and Doug McDermott from Creighton. First, how are you guys holding up as a family during the shutdown?
Well, we haven't killed each other yet, so I think we're doing okay. But, fortunately, the weather's been good in Omaha, so we've been able to get outside some. Doug's been able to get out and work out and do some of his things. But, these have been, at the same time, Andy, there's a silver lining here. You really get to spend some time with your family where you're really forced to talk about things because not everybody's on the move the whole time.
All right. So, Doug, what's it like being home? I know this is not your childhood home, but still being back in the house with your siblings and your parents.
Yeah, you start to remember a lot of those chores, growing up, doing the dishes, taking the trash outside. We've had a lot of trash because there's been a lot of cooking. I've learned how to cook a little bit. So it's been pretty nice spending some time with the family, watch a ton of movies. We try and make it to the night and just pick a movie every night and go through it. So it's been great spending time with the family, though.
Yeah, how humbling is it? I mean, you're an NBA player, 6 years now, and you got to go back to basically the way it was, almost 10 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I'm shooting hoops in the driveway, no really access to a gym. So kind of going back to the old days, when you're in the driveway, just, dreaming of playing in the NBA and playing in college. So it's been fun, being around the siblings and my parents, and we're trying to make the most of it. We know it's a tough time for everyone, but it's brought us closer as a family, and we're having a really good time.
All right, Greg. So in my Power 36 and my way too early Power 36 for next season, I had you guys at number 4. We know the roster is in flux like it is everywhere. Draft, we don't know yet on what's going to happen with this roster, transfers and all that. But in a best case scenario, especially if Marcus Zegarowski comes back healthy, what could Creighton look like next season?
Well, if everybody comes back, Andy, the sky's the limit. We won 11 of our last 13 in a very good league this year with limited depth, and that depth will be addressed next year with the addition of Antoine Jones, a transfer from Memphis, Ryan Kalkbrenner, a high school player from St. Louis, and then hopefully Jacob Epperson coming back as a healthy version of himself. So it was an awesome group to coach. They're so unselfish by nature. And as a result, when you get them on the floor, they just play basketball and they play for each other. So, I think people in Omaha are certainly excited. As you mentioned, nobody knows where the roster is going to go. Everything's in flux. We'll have a couple of guys that'll test the waters, and then we're involved in the transfer market as well. So, but I really like our team, and I think the fact if you have to go through times like this, I think you're well suited to have a veteran team like we have.
All right, so from your vantage point, Doug, for all these players that may want to test it, including, someone like Tyshawn Alexander on Creighton, and not knowing when the draft's going to be, not knowing what's going to happen with the NBA this summer or in the fall, what would be your advice, maybe your unbiased advice, about what these underclassmen should do as they try to weigh declaring or staying in the draft in completely uncertain times?
Yeah, it's really tough times right now because we don't even know when our season is going to start. And, I think with these guys, it's going to be really tough because the combine, no one knows when that's going to be. Who knows if you're going to be able to go and have a draft workout with those teams. So, it's really hard to give them advice one way or the other because we just don't really know what's going to happen.
All right, let's deal with college basketball here. Doug, you had an unbelievable career, one of the best scorers of all time. What is your favorite March Madness memory?
Favorite March Madness memory? I would say just winning our first game in the tournament. I think it was my sophomore year. We played the CBI my freshman year, and then we made it to the tournament my sophomore year, and played against Alabama down in Greensboro, and beat them. I think it was his first NCAA tournament win. So it was really cool to get him over the hump, beat Alabama, and then obviously we knew we had a tough one against North Carolina the next game. But just to get that first one was really cool.
And Greg, seeing what your son went through, playing his entire career at Creighton, what do you think he embodies about what college basketball can do for a player to be successful at the next level?
Well, first of all, Andy, I thought I had failed as a father because I found out 2 nights ago Doug had never seen the movie Hoosiers. like for a basketball guy and his son playing in the NBA, playing for the Pacers, we're seeing Hoosiers. So we watched that together. So my role as a father is now complete. But Doug was such a unique college player, because he continued to work and improve. And I remember going through the process of him deciding whether to stay in the draft his junior year. And, I was involved, talking with a lot of the administration in the NBA and their active teams, trying to get feedback. And I remember when Doug came in and said, I'm going to stay. I want to come back. And, I had some questions for him. And the one thing that he said is, Dad, I really think I can improve. And when it's time to go to the NBA, I want to be the best version of myself. And I think that's something that young people don't think about in this day and age. Like, the NBA is a hard league. And I probably didn't understand until Doug's been there just how difficult it is and how your game has to be constantly developing, constantly adapting to maybe things that didn't work in college, or that worked in college that now don't work in the NBA. So, the fact that he made a decision to come back to school and then really work to improve his game and to move into the Big East and have the year that he had is a really credit to him and his work ethic. So I think that was a really good example of what can happen if you bet on yourself and say, I'm going to come back to college, I'm going to improve. And the people that think I have these perceived weaknesses, I'm going to try to prove them wrong.
Well, I appreciate it, guys. More than anything, stay safe, enjoy each other's company for as long as we're in this shutdown. And hopefully sooner than later, we'll be seeing Doug on the court for the Pacers at some point here, whether it's late spring, summer, and then obviously Creighton as a potential top 5 team next season. Appreciate it, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Andy.